So how was your eBay sales for the past week?
Okay, just to open up with that.
Yeah. Hey, we're the Secondhand Sellers. Welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
We're changing things up a little bit.
We are trying something new. So, anyway, welcome. Thank you for coming back again this week. My eBay sales have been a little wah-wah.
Yeah.
And this is mostly our fault. So, for the first couple of weeks of April, we did pretty good. Like, we had a really boss weekend a couple weekends ago. And then we had 2 items every day. They were scheduled out. They were, posting every day, two items. And then we fell off the bandwagon and didn't list like we should have. And it screeched, not to a halt, but it severely slowed down. So we're trying to get back in the groove and back in the listing vibe, but
those daily listings.
Oh, it is. And I like to have them scheduled. Like, it is nice to have them scheduled out because then I don't have to make sure I get one today or get 2 today or whatever. So my goal is, like, going forward, I talked to Hannah about this, is like I would like to have at least one every day for like a month ahead, and then we can start like doubling up and then pushing forward. Because if we can be 2 or 3 weeks ahead, I think that would be really great. Yeah. I would like to be ahead, but it's a struggle. The struggle's real. What about you?
So I have not been doing great because I just recently said, time to get back to eBay. I just bought a house. I just moved. Are
you pretty much well settled in now?
Mostly. My eBay inventory is disaster zone.
But you have a new space for it.
But I have a new space for it. A bigger space, better space. I just haven't gotten around to organizing it, situating it. And I finally have a workspace that I can call my own office. And I just recently finished setting that up. And
did you actually get walls up, or are you just at like
no. So I want to eventually put the office into the pole barn. Right now,
you're in the house.
I'm still in the house, which it's okay because we've got a nice heavy glass sliding door, and when I'm in there, it's
Are you like in that sunroom?
Yeah, it's a sunroom. Nobody can hear me when I'm in there, so I'm not loud, nice. And I can work on stuff all through the night or whenever. But I did list something on Sunday, and it sold for my full asking price of $200 within 12 hours of listing it. So
I love that.
Feels pretty good.
Yeah.
But
glad to be back on track.
Yeah.
I know you had a really stressful
It's been like
a month, but I think it's been
longer than that. I think it's been like 2 months of like.
Yeah, the whole home buying thing is a whole thing.
Yeah.
But especially when you're trying to and you work a full-time job too.
Full-time job. Plus.
Full-time job plus eBay plus moving, and not just moving, but you were buying the house too. Yeah. So it wasn't like even an apartment to an apartment move. It was like you had to go through the whole home buying process.
Right.
Is a whole thing. So. It's
just been fun, but now things are calming down. I finally finished most of the big projects to do around the house. So it's been nice to actually be like, oh my gosh, I can actually sit down and work on something for my eBay store.
Yeah. So you're just trying to get back into your schedule right now.
Yeah.
How do you have a goal date by which you want to be fully back to your full capacity? I say full capacity, but the capacity you were normally last year.
I want to say give it about a month because I want to get back to it sooner, but I have to go through my entire inventory. I want to sort through it. There were some things I bought last year where I'm like, I'm going to list that. I never did. And I have so much stuff that I need to go through. I want to hold a garage sale and just get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And that can help me mitigate the things that I have so that way I can take it and go, cool. eBay, because it didn't sell at the garage sale. Or I can take it and go, I'm just going to take it to Goodwill. So
yeah, so you're kind of using this move as a reset.
Yeah, it's been a nice reset for the business, reset for myself, purged things. I even took some of my own stuff and said, to the eBay pile, which has been nice.
Because you're going through it, so it's like in your face.
Right. And it's like, I might as well look through this and make deciding factors. So
yeah, I need to do that for the garage sale we're holding soon. Mm-hmm. And speaking of garage sales, it's garage sale season, so you want to get on track so that we can all do our sourcing.
I've already stopped at one sale.
Yeah, you can't. It's like a compulsion. You can't not stop.
I know.
I know you said you hit that estate sale.
And an estate sale, but the estate sale is where I got the item that sold for $200 though.
Yeah.
So.
And that was a decent profit, right?
Yeah. I paid $50 for it, which is higher than what I would like.
But hey.
You
can't argue with $100.
I should have listed it the same day I got it. And I just didn't because I've been busy. And I'm glad that I did list it because...
Did you know what you were looking at, or did you look that up?
I did look it up, but I know sewing stuff a little bit vaguely.
Uh-huh.
And then it was I should tell the audience, it's a Sally Stanley pleating kit.
Do you have a photo? You should shoot me the photo and I'll throw it up there for you.
I'll give you the photo. But what kind of cued me off was they had the original price sticker on the box that said $180 or something like that. And I was like, whoa, interesting. And then I opened it up and this thing looked brand new. Like it still had all the papers in there. And going through it after I bought it, it actually had the original receipt still tucked in there. Cool. And it was from November of 1999. So
it was expensive in 1999.
Yeah.
$180 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money now, but especially then.
And I was like, and they were like, oh yeah, everything is like 75% off today.
Must have been the last day.
Yeah. And she was like, and she was basing it off the price sticker that was originally on there, and she was like, how about $50? I had some other stuff I wanted to, and I was like, I only have $54 on me, and she's like, okay, and just gave me everything I wanted. So nice. I'm just pricing that item as $50 as my inventory.
What else did you get?
A calendar, a couple books, box full of pins. Pins I like to list because you could just take pictures of them really quickly, and then whenever you have downtime, you could just
pins.
Yeah, like pins that have designs and stuff. It turns out I got a couple like Olympics pins.
Oh, okay.
And,
like an enamel pin.
Yeah. Okay. And just like a Budweiser Triathlon 1991.
Have you sold any of those yet?
No, but I've been listing them. I thought I sold one, but not
those
yet.
A specific buyer on those, probably.
I already have watchers. Is the thing.
Interesting.
And whenever I get a watcher, send that off for.
Yeah.
But
some things are a waiting game.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And for pins, I can always get them cheap.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, and they're so small, I don't care about them. It's just like they go into one drawer, which is
just pins.
Yeah.
Interesting. So. Kind of like our print block situation.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. This has been in print blocks, but so that's the most interesting thing you've gotten in a while, right? That pleater.
That pleater.
Yeah, I love estate sales. They are good.
Yep.
I haven't been sourcing that much.
Which is good.
Well, it's a mixed bag. I think we do have some stuff we need to get through in the next week or two. We have some clothes that we've been putting off. And we have our mannequin, Sheila. But Hannah has asked me to help because it's annoying to like dress and undress and da da da. So we really need to do that. And that's probably coming up this next month or so. I think some of that stuff will be Etsy. And a lot of it probably will be Etsy. And some will go to eBay too. But we've been putting it off way too long because it's been a long time. But we're slowly like running out of stock too. We don't have like a gigantic backlog other than the clothes. So I probably will go sourcing pretty soon. I don't know if Hannah and I will. We kind of like loosely talked about going to an estate sale this weekend to see if there's one on Sunday afternoon or something we could go to. But I don't know if we'll get to it. But I picked up some stuff at the thrift store. I did find. One of the cooler things that I found in the last few weeks, because I frequent the Goodwill Goodwill's up. There's 2 within 10 minutes of my house or so.
Yeah.
So, and I actually do sometimes find good ones at the other one that you said almost never do. Lately, I have been finding some good stuff.
Oh, really?
Which is really interesting. But one of the coolest things, and I'll pop a picture in there for you guys, but one of the cooler things that I found was a vintage Miro. Miro's a brand that's often they made aluminum products. So it's a vintage Miro brand electric popcorn popper.
Oh.
So it's
got like the big rounded dome.
Actually, it has a lid, so it's an aluminum base with like plastic legs, or I don't know if they're I don't think they're Bakelite. They're probably like plastic from the 60s or whatever. And then a handle and a plug. It actually plugs into the wall, and the base gets hot, and it's got like a lid that goes on it. And the handle, you would just like put your popcorn and your oil in there, and you would physically shake it, but like it heats up electrically.
Oh, that's cool.
And I found this at the Goodwill that's not the Goodwill.
Right.
And it had the original box. So this thing is sitting in the original box. It had the cord. It had the instruction manual, the warranty sheet, and it actually had, it wasn't pristine because it had been folded and stuck to itself, but it was the sticker that would have been on the actual popcorn popper was in the box with like all this other stuff. And
like still on the sheet, or
no, it was like, I think it probably had been attached to the front of the popcorn popper.
Oh,
it was like a label,
yeah.
But it had gotten removed and was folded together, and someone just threw it right back in the box instead of throwing it away. So that was a cool find. I priced it at $100, and I think I paid like $6 for it or something. I think I paid $5.99, something like that. And I don't know that I'll get $100 for it, but I expect a decent profit because they do sell, and they do sell pretty good. And I had a few pieces, like some of those extra like ephemera, like the papers and stuff, that aren't in everyone's listing. So that was a pretty cool find from there. And when I got it, I'm sure you've seen this at the thrift store. They have, someone goes crazy with the packing tape, and like they packing taped it in there so it wouldn't fall out. So it was like a crisscross of packing tape. So I didn't rip off that packing tape until I got home. I just kind of like tried to look in there to see if it was in there. And our Goodwills have return policy. You know this. So the other one has the same 1 week return policy. So I knew if it was missing something critical, that I probably could return it. But I kind of figured it had the cord. I think I was able to like look under the lid. So when I finally got home and cut the tape, in the bottom, I found a little item wrapped in tissue paper, and I opened it up, and it was a vintage muddler, like a cocktail muddler, a glass one. And I found a receipt where someone had bought both the popcorn popper and the muddler at like a consignment shop or a vintage mall or something. I think it was a consignment shop. And
they forgot about it?
I guess, or they didn't use it and put it on a shelf. And so that was tucked in there. And I guess at Goodwill, they didn't like pull it apart. They didn't take, probably the person who donated it was the one that was rabid with the packing tape. And so I got a bonus item for the same $6. So we listed that too. I think we listed that one on, did we list that one on Etsy? We might have listed that one on Etsy. But it was just a little tiny little glass.
But
it's kind of cute.
Free item with your...
It's kind of cute. So that was probably my best find lately.
That's
I
cool.
found a little this and that, but I haven't really done much in the last week or so.
Yeah. So when you do plan on going out to estate sales, do you have like a specific, like, because this is like the season when they're all going to be coming out.
And they are.
Were you planning on targeting more of a...
So I don't, without giving out too much where we live.
Right.
We live in an area, like, I think we've talked about this before. You and I don't live in exactly the same area, but we live in the same region. And so being between two pretty prominent cities, I like to go south of my house towards the bigger city. And it's a higher end areas. That's usually where I like to estate sale the most. Although I do know sometimes in even our area or north of me where it's not as ritzy, sometimes you can find like the primitive stuff or the vintage stuff, because sometimes you go into a house and it hasn't changed since 1975.
Right.
You know, so there are those things, but there's a few estate sale companies that I tend to frequent because I like their pricing, or I know that I like different ones for different reasons, basically. So
but do they mainly focus?
Most of them are my area or south of here. Sometimes they go a little bit north into adjacent cities of similar socioeconomic, but they don't go as far north as some of the other ones. So like they kind of have territories and they overlap. And I think I would say that I'm in the overlapping zone. So I see some estate sale companies that mostly operate north of me here, and then I see some that mostly operate south here.
So when you're planning out what
I go to the higher end areas usually.
Well, do you look at which estate sales are operating that weekend, or do you just look at all the estate sales and go and make your decision from there?
I think I've told you this before. Estatesales.net.
Yes.
Have you used this yet?
Not yet, because
download their app.
I should do.
You know what's funny? I got a tip I was in line at an estate sale, and I got a tip from another person who was in line at the estate sale about the estatesales.net app, because I had used their website. Like they have a normal old website.
And that's what I've looked at, but I haven't actually used it yet.
Their app is better, and the guy in line at that estate sale, thank you to whoever you are. I did not know this guy, and he was just talking about it because we're all like waiting for our turn to get in the sale. And it is way better. So I can put in like my area code, and you can get down to like what kind of mileage range you want to look at. And then I will click at sales around. And sometimes I will, even though I typically go south of me, I will look at other places too, just to see what they have, because estatesales.net usually has, well, you said you've been on there.
Yeah.
It has a photos a lot of times. So, but it'll show you a map, and you can like click on the different sales, and you can sort them by today, tomorrow, next 7 days. And then I just like click on them and look at them. Sometimes there was one that we talked about that I actively avoid because their prices are too insane. The one with a really ironic name. If I see them, it's not even, no. But on the app, you can like look through the estate sales and see which ones you like. And you can actually like tag them on there. You can like mark them as one you want to go to. And then you can get directions right from the app. So it's really nice. It's like integrated.
Yeah.
So that's usually what I use. And I just scan through there and see if there's anything, if it looks like the kind of sale that I like to go to. So I like to go to sales that have a lot of art, interesting things. There's a couple of estate sale companies, and I think I've talked about this before, because I estate sale way more than you do, I think.
Yeah.
This summer, we're going to have to go to
something. I know, we are going to.
Yeah, we should do a video of that.
We definitely will, and we're going to record.
And some garage sales, because I'm not as big of a garage seller, but I'm excited to delve into that world a little bit more. So, basically, I like different estate sale companies for different reasons, and some of them tend to have like higher end or nicer stuff, or they're set up more attractively, or the houses they get are cleaner. And then there's some that I go to, I know they're going to be cheap. I know it's going to be like you can grab stuff and put it in a lot.
And the ones you're gonna have to
rummage. Yeah, so if I'm not in the mood to rummage, I might not go to that. Or I go, after a while, like when you really get into the estate sale game, you start to understand the various types of estate sale companies, how they operate, what is normal for their sales and what is not. So there's one in particular that they tend to get higher end homes, though not always, but mostly higher end homes, or at least homes in higher end areas. They usually are pretty well organized, and they tend to be higher priced early on in the sale, but they will work with you as the sale goes on. And especially by the last day, they're more interested in clearing. It's a great place to get things for my personal use, where I might be more inclined to pay a little bit more because it's something that I'm going to use, which is not the same as something I would sell. You know, obviously, like if it's something that's really nice and I would like to have it, I will pay a little bit more than if I'm trying to turn a profit, because I don't have to worry about that. You know, I don't want to overpay, but in any situation, I don't want to overpay for that item, but
it's nicer when you can go to the estate sale. It's on clearance from whatever they priced it, and even at an estate sale, it's better pricing anyway.
Yeah, it is, and sometimes still you'll run like this particular estate sale company tends to know what they have. Mm-hmm. They tend to be I think a lot of them are appraisers. They often know what they have, although they often undervalue kitchen items, and kitchen items vary a lot from low end to high end.
I wonder if that's because like they figure almost everybody has a kitchen item.
Maybe, but like little tchotchke kitchen items. Like I found a really decent pair of kitchen shears that I got for like $1 because I pulled them out and they I'm like, what about for these shears? Not labeled because they didn't think it was worth labeling, and it wasn't the higher end stuff in the house. And other than a few key brands like, excuse my French, Le Croisset, most people know what that is. The enamel Dutch ovens. They're like high-end enamel Dutch ovens. Most of the estate sale companies know what those are and will price them higher. All-clad cookware, same thing. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you can get like little tchotchke kind of kitchen stuff that's really good quality or high-end, and they have just like undervalued it. So again, the kitchen shears, I got them for like $1. Well worth it. They were used, and it's obvious they were used, but they were I think they were a German made. I think it was Drysack or something, which I think turned into Woodstock or something. They have a very similar logo to Woodstock, which is in a kitchen. They're known for their kitchen knives. So that's my tip there too, is if you need like small items, like kitchen items, desk items, things like that do have a range, like most things do have a low end and a high end. Sometimes you can find a really nice thing that they've just undervalued. Oh, it's just a pen, or oh, it's just a pair of kitchen shears, or oh, whatever.
It's like last summer I went to a garage sale. I paid $1 for a gallon Ziploc bag full of pens and pencils. Mm-hmm. I took that thing home. I think I've made like $60 going through that bag and selling individual pens.
Are they like vintage pens or something?
No, they're just specific. I can't remember the brands, but I made like $10 off one, $15 off another. There was an eraser. It's like a special eraser tool that still was in the packaging in the bag. That made me $20. And I had to look it up and do the research, but I listed it and it took no time at all. I think it sold in under a week. And that was something stupid that I just picked up the bag because they didn't have a price on it. And I'm like, how much do you want for the bag of pens? And I wanted the pens that for myself because I'm like, I need a pen. So
yeah, and you don't want to go and spend $5 for a pack.
No.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a lesson there that like there's a certain type of person that just thinks a pen's a pen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not necessarily the case. And I think we've talked about this before, that like almost everything that exists in the world has a low end and a high end, and median in the middle. And if you know anything about quality, sometimes you can identify that stuff even if you don't know the category very well or whatever. You can just pick up a pen and be like, oh gosh, this is heavy.
Right.
I know this is made of real metal and like is probably of value.
And that's kind of how I went through the bag. There were a couple of them. I'm just like, wow, that is distinctly heavy. And then I had to Google Lens and try to find it. And Google Lens is your friend whenever you can't identify something just by looking at it. But I was able to list, I want to say 3 of those pens just by Google Lens. Yep, okay. And I just priced it and listed it. And
I mean, there are pens that you can, especially fountain pens, they go 3 digits.
Yeah.
I mean, easy. They're expensive. And it's the same with art products, too. A lot of people think, oh, paint's paint, or like, a brush is a brush. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And if you know what you're looking for, other people might just think, oh, it's a bunch of old paintbrushes. Okay, well, if it's a sable hair paintbrush, though, that's possibly, either if it's not inherently worth money and the resale market, it's a good product for someone who's looking for that item.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it pays to dig around in like the nooks and crannies, and I think that especially at estate sales, that's really where you're gonna get some stuff that is just like a surprise. Like I have a set of one of the estate sales I went to, I think I paid $10 for it, which might seem kind of like a lot, but it was a set of 5, was I paid 10 or 12? I don't know. It was a set of 5 cheese knives, like for cheese boards, and they have like an olive wood handle, and I looked them up, and they're going for like €100, the set.
Oh, wow.
Like that brand, or maybe not, this might be an older version, but like the current version, it was not, I knew this at one time was not a cheap set of cheese knives.
Right.
And they're really pretty. I kept them myself. Too many charcuterie boards right here. Too many. We are those people. But I kept them because I thought they were really pretty, but a little Googling and looking up the brand and stuff, and I realized these are high quality items. And I'm getting for a low price.
Even though you could have took it and sold it, it's so nice to find something of nice quality that you're like, wow, I like this, and you get it at an affordable rate, and you're like, I'm just going to keep it for myself.
Yeah, I like owning nice things, and I think that's one thing that I have learned through secondhand shopping and in that secondhand world is that, like, I can own things a lot nicer than I would be able to otherwise. And, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we're so poor. We have enough, but we're not super wealthy. And so a lot of these things, including my couch downstairs, the couch you sat in when you came over today, that's a couch that would brand new. That brand, if I were to buy one today, would be thousands, plural. And we paid less, like $400 for it, like $350, I think. Plus we had to, rent something to move it and all that kind of stuff. But I could not have purchased at the time, especially. But even now, it would be hard to purchase it without, going into debt. A couch of that quality. And that particular couch has a pull-out on it, which pull-out couches are notoriously known for having bad beds. This one actually has a nice bed in it. It lays flat. It's got a nice foam topper on it. People have slept on it and didn't complain about their back the next day. And we just could not have gotten a couch of that quality, especially not at that time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we didn't have $4,000 to drop on just a couch. We have other things we need to pay for. So I think by being open to secondhand shopping, learning what quality looks like, I'm able to own a lot nicer items on a budget. And like sometimes it's shocking how inexpensively you can get things. I was at the Goodwill. It was a half off day. I found a pizza stone. It was like an enamel coated pizza stone. It was the half off color. I think they had it marked at $6. So it's going to be like $3. I flipped it over. I'm looking at it. It said like made in France. I had the brand name on there. I Googled it. They're still selling for like $85 at Williams-Sonoma. Like almost the exact same one. And it had a couple of where you could see like some stuff had gotten baked on. It had gotten like a carbon layer on there in a couple spots. But I'm like, for one, anyone who knows anything about pizza stones, they stay pretty for like 10 seconds and then they look like garbage. But they work pretty good. And I had previously broken, one of our pizza stones had cracked in the oven. So we only had one. So I picked this thing up for like $3 plus tax, so $3.18 or whatever. And I literally saw it on the Williams-Sonoma website for like multiple times what I paid for it. And it's perfectly good. And you would never know if you went into my kitchen that I didn't buy that new.
Right.
And it functions great. And so I'm never going to pay $85 for a pizza stone. It's not happening.
No.
But if I can pick up a really great made in France pizza stone for $3, I'm going to do it. And so, like I said, I had broken my previous one. So now we can have actual more than 1 or 2 pizzas in the oven at a time, which is so nice because we were having to rotate. So I think that's like been big for me, and why personally, also it's the thrill of the hunt. Like there's a hunting and treasure hunting aspect, and if you're the kind of person, that you're the kind of person you just like the treasure hunt. But yeah, like I've just been able to pick up such nice stuff, and I've gotten great deals on art. I've got a few pieces of art that ended up being, I think I've talked about it before. We got them appraised because they were good enough, and I got such a deal on them at an estate sale. And I think you make a more interesting home too, and a more interesting wardrobe. And of course, there's other benefits like keeping stuff from being trashed.
Yeah.
Which so much stuff in our country gets trashed. Perfectly good working stuff. You're a semi-dumpster diver, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I guess you are a dumpster diver, so you...
Gosh,
So you know, but it's
pulled so much stuff out of the trash
this
past year.
It's a crime how many things get thrown away. And you know, we always go after big companies, but it's not just big companies doing it. It's everyday people that don't want to take the time to... And I understand big furniture sometimes. It's like, it's hard. If you have a car and you need to get rid of a couch quick because you're moving out of your apartment, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But like, it's stuff that literally could have just been dropped off at a donation center and
dropped off, or you could even post it and go...
For free.
Free Facebook, people will come get it.
But people don't. And it goes to the garbage. And so that's the other benefit is like, it's keeping it from the garbage. Because like, we've talked about the bins before. Like, that's the last stop before it goes to the trash. Yep. Literal trash. And I have like bypassed so many I could tell they were resellers also by how they act. And they're rifling through it. And I'm digging stuff out of the bottom of these bins that didn't even catch their eye at all.
Yeah.
But why do you secondhand shop? What got you into it?
Oh, it's just always been fun. I don't know.
Did you do it as a kid?
Oh yeah. I remember my mom would always take us like garage sailing, or we would go to Goodwill and stuff, especially for like clothing, shirts. It's cheaper to go get a bunch of stuff at Goodwill than it is to go to the main store and get something that's $60 that a child's just going to outgrow in a couple of months or whatever. So
boys are known for their quick growth spurts and like running through stuff.
So lots of times Goodwill, Salvation Army, it's always been fun. I don't know.
You're a hunter. It's the thrill of the hunt.
It is very fun hunting. But at the same time, just this past week, I fished a 3-drawer storage organizer out of the trash. Again, I think that's probably my 3rd or 4th one I've picked up out of the garbage this past year. And all that's wrong with it is dirty. The top had something heavy on it, and so it exposed a little bit. I just took it and wiped it all down. I'm not going to put something heavy on it. I'm going to put something in the top drawer that I don't need to get access to very often. And it's fine. And it's like, why was that in the trash?
You need a trailer so you can go scrapping.
Yeah,
I
started a scrap pile already. It's not very much, but I put a few metal bits into a thing. And then I found a TV on the side of the road. And they had like TV sitting on the side of the road, brand new TV box. And I was like...
They literally only got rid of it because they got a new one.
They got a new TV. So I went and grabbed it, and then it wasn't working. I'm like, they threw it out because it wasn't working. Took that sucker apart. They had one loose wire, and pushed that in, tested it, it kicked right on. And I want to make, once I get my storage all organized, I want to make a thing for Facebook and Craigslist and be like, I will take your broken electronics. Because so many people dump broken electronics where all it is, it's dirty. Or
some people want them for parts.
Yep, people want them for parts. I've sold a lot of electronics for parts.
Yeah, because there's some people are handy and they can take 2 things and make one good one out of it. And otherwise that stuff would just literally go to the trash and to sit for eons. So. And
even of the stuff that we harvest, I'm going to just say, and then repurpose for ourselves or throw online and make some cash. Okay, if that person takes it and then like lights it on fire, it's still better than it just going to the dump pile.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Have you ever checked out the Reddit, our dumpster diving?
A little bit.
The stuff they pull out. I'm intimidated by dumpster diving a little bit.
It's very fun.
I'm intimidated by someone coming and telling me to get out, I think. But I'm like, oh gosh, the stuff they're finding.
I've only been told to leave at one place before, and I said, okay, no problem, and I left. And I've had times, so employees are coming out with trash as I'm like in the dumpster, and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, Yep, I'm just fishing in the dumpster. I'm pulling out soda bottles and
You're
stuff.
You're like, I'm totally employed and I have a house.
Because, well, at the time I didn't, but here in Michigan you can recycle soda bottles and cans to get 10 cents deposit back. And a lot of people are lazy and just throw their cans out.
Which they pay for.
Yeah, they pay that tax.
I think Joe looked up the stats one time. It's literally to the tune of millions.
Mm-hmm.
Is how much is left.
Yeah.
Like unclaimed.
So
it's insane.
At the time when I was dumpster diving, I had this tote in my car. All I was doing was throwing soda bottles in it. I would turn that in every week, $20 minimum.
It's pretty good. I'm a silly person. I don't think I ever told you this. I had a summer where I went canning, and I would walk like along the side of the road. Particularly in the spring, it's like prime time because here you get that snowfall, and then the plows push everything to the side of the banks of the road.
Yeah.
Those of you who live in a snowy area will understand this. So they plow, and then everything gets pushed to the sidewall. The snow melts, all that trash is, on the side of the road.
Right there by the side of the road.
For spring and summer, I just walked and listened to music, and I would pick up cans as I saw them. Or if I drove down a dirt road, people like to throw beer cans and crap on a dirt road. Probably people who shouldn't be drinking. You'll see
drinking and driving.
You'll see a whole a half a pack of cans or something on some dirt road. Stop and get them or whatever. I made $60 that summer. I found a lotto ticket that was a $1 winner, and I found a $1 bill or two on a fence. So there's free money to be had out there if you live in a deposit state, but that's just another testament to the waste. And people pay you literally. Those of you who don't have deposits on your carbonated beverages won't understand this, but you go and you pay money for that.
Yeah.
So if you get a 24-pack, you paid an extra $2.40, and there's a type of person who just does not return them. They won't return them. I should have fished it out. I did not. I was at the gas station and I saw there was a pop can sitting in the garbage can.
I've done it before. 10 cents, thank you. Yes. And it goes in my back seat of the car, and that's why my car is always filthy, but
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And so, anyway, yeah, that's, I don't know. The dumpster diving thing, like I said, part of me wants to, and it's also intimidating.
We should plan it. Plan it and go do it.
Oh, so scary. I don't want to get in trouble with the cops. Even though I think it's legal, so as long as it's not private property.
It's legal in most regions. Some, you should look this up before you go and go. But there are certain areas where they will say, no dumpster diving, and if you get caught, you can be penalized, so.
Yeah. Be aware of your local laws.
Yep.
I was looking up our local ordinances, and they said, basically, if I read it correctly, that basically once it's set out to the curb, the trash belongs to the city. But I'm not gonna not rescue something from trash if I really want to.
The city
from my neighbor, yeah. They just you can tell some sort of snob wrote that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. It is intriguing though. It is intriguing, and it's kind of sickening how much goes to the garbage.
Lots of stuff.
Tons of food. There was a documentary called Dive that I watched that was pretty good and annoying as to how much perfectly good food just literally goes to the trash.
Yep.
It's we live in a country where no one should be hungry.
And so many products that are still in the packaging. Yep. Not even just food.
Not even out of date sometimes. Yep. What the frick?
Well, one of the dumpsters I went to, I pulled out thousands of dollars of vape products. None of them were expired. They were going to be expiring within the next 6 months. And they just threw it all out. And
why would I? What I don't understand, and I understand stores get write-offs and stuff when they give stuff. Why not just clearance it out?
I have no idea.
I don't understand.
I think
people would buy
probably
stuff
because selling it at a loss by clearancing it, well, you're taking a loss versus if you write it off and go, we didn't get anything, we had to get rid of it. It's a
screwed up system. And I'm not a vape user by any means, but
it's just stupid.
Just the sheer waste.
I took it all and I gave it to all my coworkers because at the time they all were vaping and that was the new big thing, and I was
You're just like
the coworker hero for ages. So
you don't use, but at the same time, like to see that.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't just let this sit in the trash.
Knowing that they're paying.
And I couldn't feel reasonable selling it either because it was nicotine, and it's like, what?
But weird. You just couldn't.
You couldn't just say, because it was gonna go to the dumpster.
I know.
So.
I was thinking about that when you go past the giant mounds, altars to our overconsumption.
Yeah.
That are literally everywhere here. I mean, like you don't. There's so many giant mounds of trash, and like how much of that was perfectly good before it got carted there? I don't know. But anyway.
I think that's a good place to call it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. Come back next week for another episode of the Secondhand Sellers, where we talk about all things thrift, resale, and secondhand. Happy thrifting. Or dumpster diving.
Yeah. Hopefully.
See you later. Bye.